Hi, today I'd like to talk about language learning, and I'd like to focus particularly on how you learn your partner's language. Now, it's not actually easy to do this, but it's certainly possible, and I will give you some tips on how you can do this. First of all, you need a really good motivation for doing this. So perhaps you're moving to be with your partner in his country. Perhaps you want to speak with his friends or family and they don't speak much of your language, say English for argument's sake. So there actually has to be a need there for you to do it. Now, just speaking with your partner like that, it's not actually going to work out very well, because when you start a relationship, whatever the strongest language, say English for argument's sake, will establish itself. So you've carried on your relationship in that language, and suddenly switching to another language, it actually changes the dynamic for both of you. So, you know, even if you're not competent in the language and it's his native tongue, well, he or she is used to speaking your language with you, and it's just as hard for him or her to switch over as it is for you to try and speak his language. So there is actually a barrier to be overcome. Now, you can do it, and I'm going to give you some tips on how you do it. So first of all, when you're learning the language, and I'm going to say Norwegian in this case, you get as much of your language learning as possible outside of the relationship. So you go on courses, you read books, you go on the web, you practice speaking with people in town, whatever, and so that you build up your own competence away from the relationship. So when you do start speaking with each other, you've got more chance of having a fluid conversation. And you start off in small ways. So for instance, I mean, there certainly is the embarrassment factor to get over, because when you start trying to speak the new language, you will both think, oh, this feels so unnatural. You know, I feel stupid, he feels stupid, or she feels stupid. And there is the I feel so stupid factor that you have to get over. So you take it in small stages. One thing, for example, you can do is, like in Norwegian, these are sacks. So you can say, oh, have you seen the sacks anywhere? Instead of scissors. So you introduce it, you kind of sneak the language in little ways. And one thing I found helped was just to say completely random things like, this thing, that's an isbjørn. That thing is Barbie. So, isbjørnen has spist Barbie. The polar bear has eaten Barbie. And I just kind of drop it into a random conversation and we'll have a laugh over it. And usually I make a mistake and I've said the ice bear's done something unspeakable to Barbie, not just eaten her. So we can have it with humour that way. And then once you get used to that, you can start introducing like sentences. So it's a nice cup of tea. And when I'm making it, when I'm putting the kettle on, I just go, oh, ska du ha te? Would you like a cup of tea? And, you know, at first it just felt really unnatural to do it, but now it actually feels weird to say to him, oh, would you like a cup of tea? Because now I'm used to just saying it in Norwegian, and he's had to make adjustments as well, because some couples, for a lot of couples, when one partner is trying to learn the language and they complain, well, he always speaks English back to me. And it's not that your partner's actually trying to be rude or anything like that. They're used to speaking English in the relationship, and suddenly they have to switch over to another language. You know, even though it's their native language, they still have to make that shift. So, you know, it's a case of just being aware of that, and then you have to make the effort to just keep starting a conversation in the new language, and eventually it will take. So he comes home and he asks me if I've had a nice day in Norwegian. Sometimes I manage to say a few things in Norwegian. Sometimes I switch back to English quite quickly, because again I'm still trying to get over the, oh, this feels weird factor more than anything. But the point is, if you keep working at it, it does build up and up and up, and you have slightly longer conversations. And what I would say is, you will have the conversations in that language when you're ready, you know, the types of conversations when you're ready to be having them. So at the moment we're still at the fairly simple stage of, you know, I know, can you find my socks? I want vegetables for dinner. You know, we're comfortable with doing all that, and then we'll probably build up to, oh, do you think that woman's hat is ugly, or something. Any sort of serious discussions we still have in English, but we will build up to that when we're ready. So I hope those tips are useful for any of you people with partners learning a language.